everybody, today I'm in Bargersville, Indiana on a really hot, sunny summer day, and we're gonna explore Bargersville just a little bit. You might ask yourself, where in the world is Bargersville anyway? It's a small town south of Indianapolis, close to Greenwood, close to Franklin, Indiana, and it's become kind of a popular spot, honestly, for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. So we're gonna get into some of that in this video, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about small towns, cities surrounding Indianapolis, and of course Indianapolis itself, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about all the small towns and cities that surround Indianapolis, small towns like Bargersville, where I am today, and of course Indianapolis itself. So if you have questions at all about any of the small towns or cities surrounding Indianapolis, including Indianapolis itself, then make sure you reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to the Indy Metro. All right, again, today I am in Bargersville, Indiana, and I am passing Legacy Plaza, which is actually super small right here behind me. Not huge at all, but kind of a neat little spot. And in Bargersville, and I'm not in the center of Bargersville, but let's say you popped Bargersville, trucks going in front of me here. Let's say you popped Bargersville into your map and just take me to Bargersville, Indiana. This is really where it would take you. Now Bargersville, small town, but not minuscule. There's about 10,000 people here in Bargersville, and they're not in this immediate vicinity. I'm kind of in the older part of Bargersville actually right now, and there's a lot of newer construction. There's been a lot of newer homes over the past 20, 30 years in Bargersville because Indianapolis has grown. I'm actually crossing some train tracks. Definitely want to make sure I'm watching out. But it's really filled in the gaps between Indianapolis and Greenwood on the south side of Indy. This is super close to Greenwood. Bargersville is really connected to Greenwood. So if you're going from Bargersville into Greenwood, sometimes it's actually difficult to tell. And even nearby Franklin, Indiana, which is a bigger city, it's about 26,000 people and actually a super cool little place. It's got a lot going for it, Franklin, Indiana does, with Franklin College, and then the downtown area of Franklin with all the shops and the restaurants that they have there. It's super unique, really cool. A neat place to live and a neat place to go and visit. But Bargersville being about 10,000, there are other towns around Indianapolis that are equivalent in size for sure. You got places like Danville, which is a really neat town, west of Avon, which is west of Indianapolis. You've also got McCordsville on the northeast side of Indianapolis. Now McCordsville, there isn't a whole lot there other than residential, and it's still a nice, very quiet place to live. There are a few places in McCordsville proper. One that comes to mind right now is Daniel's Vineyard, which is an awesome place to see some music outside. Of course, they have a vineyard there, and it's just an awesome setting. But McCordsville is about 10,000 people, but it's kind of a suburb of Indianapolis and Fishers both at the same time. So there's a lot nearby McCordsville. And if you get here to Bargersville and you're taken right here to this spot, you might think, is this what Bargersville is? It's kind of rough, to be honest with you. So if you're looking behind me, you can see the utility office for town of Bargersville and these train tracks. Got a few businesses across the tracks over there, and then right behind me, got a few shops as well. Right across the street though, this is really interesting to me because this is Taxman Brewing. This is one of my favorite breweries around Indianapolis. There's a location in Fortville as well. We live in Greenfield, so anytime we go to dinner or we go out somewhere, we end up in Fortville quite a bit. Really not that far from us, only about 20 minutes. And there's a Taxman there, and we love going to Taxman. This is the Taxman headquarters, so this is where they do their brewing. Awesome brewery, really great, but not the only one. There are so many breweries around Indianapolis. I thought we probably reached the saturation point on breweries maybe 10 years ago, but I was totally wrong. There's probably double the amount of breweries now compared to what there was 10 years ago. But again, if you start popping in Bargersville, Indiana in your map, this is basically where it's going to take you, kind of the old Bargersville. And of course, a lot of the neighborhoods around here, they're older. You can find some really nice properties though, really nice places, and then some places that aren't so nice, just like you can in a lot of places. But anyway, this is kind of rough to me. You know, it's not that cute, really perfect little downtown area like you might find in some other towns and cities that surround Indy. Franklin comes to mind, which of course is more than twice as large, but that is a really neat downtown area. It's a big gathering place for the whole community. Bargersville, this isn't as big a gathering place, although people do come here for sure. But Bargersville is still exceptionally popular, and there's really a couple reasons why. One is that anybody moving to Indianapolis and moving around Indianapolis, they're concerned about the school districts. Well, in Bargersville, if you have a Bargersville address, for the most part, you are going to have an address that is served by the Center Grove Community School District. Now, the Center Grove Community School District is extremely highly rated. Very, very good school. Now, if you go around most of the suburbs around Indianapolis, you're going to have highly rated schools all over the place. And near Bargersville, if you get into Greenwood Community Schools, they're highly rated. You get to Clark Pleasant, they're highly rated. You get to Franklin, just to the south of here, they're highly rated too. But Center Grove tends to rise to the top in a lot of people's minds, just with how high the ratings really are. So there are a lot of people moving to Bargersville. They want to be on the south side and they want to be in that school district. Now, if you have a Bargersville address, you do have to be careful, because if you get, let's say, a little further to the south, you can get into Franklin Community Schools, which again, highly rated. But if your goal is to get into Center Grove and you have a Bargersville address, you just need to make sure that you're in the right part of Bargersville for Center Grove schools. So it's just something to keep in mind. And that happens at a lot of places around Indianapolis and at a lot of the other cities and towns that surround Indianapolis too. So you can actually get into a city and it's served mostly by that school corporation of the city or the town. But if you're on the outskirts of it, it may be a little bit different for you. So, if you ever get into a spot, you see a place, you have questions, then reach out, because that's one of the things that we can certainly help you with, and making sure you're where you want to be. But with Bargersville, anytime I'm here with a client, let's say looking at a place, oftentimes what I'm thinking when we're in Bargersville is, I'd say, space more than anything. So it's not a general overall perfect rule, but there are an awful lot of places in Bargersville that have a little room around it. And I'm not talking about, oh, you live on 20 acres or 30 acres, even though you can find that in Bargersville, not very often, because it's just not that big a place, again, only 10,000 people or so. But if you get into neighborhoods, and they have a quarter of an acre, something like that, where your homes aren't necessarily on top of one another. So when you get a combination of some neighborhoods with some homes that are spread out a little bit, a lot of the homes in Bargersville are a little nicer as well. And then you couple that with a lot of desire to be here because of the school district. Of course, Bargersville, even though you look around here right now, even though this is a very safe area, it's also has some super cool place like this Johnson's Barbecue right up here in front of me. Unfortunately, the wind is blowing this way, and so this place is blowing the smell of the barbecue they're cooking toward me right now. It's brutal. It smells so good. I love barbecue. So always up for some barbecue anywhere around Indianapolis, because there are several places. Obviously it's not Southern barbecue, which famous, but you can find some good barbecue in central Indiana as well. This is definitely one of those places. But you look around here and you think, this isn't really all that fancy. I've seen fancier places, but because a lot of the neighborhoods do have that space, you've got that phenomenal school district in this area, that pushes the price up. So generally, I would say if you want a less expensive place, if you're looking at a place like Carmel, Fishers, Zionsville, those are the most expensive places around the whole Indy metro. But if you're open geographically to going someplace other than those cities, Zionsville's a town, but Carmel, Fishers, let's say even Westfield, Noblesville, you can get into Brownsburg, Avon, and Plainfield, although those are becoming more expensive. But I'll tell people, look, if you want a very good school district and you don't want to be in Indianapolis, look on the south side. Look at places like Greenwood. Look at places in Hancock County like McCordsville or Greenfield or New Palestine over on the east side. Or look at a place like Franklin, Indiana, which is a little further out. It's a city that's further from Indianapolis for sure, but still a reasonable drive up I-65 or US 31 to get back into Indianapolis. Those places actually can be a little more affordable. If you get into Bargersville, the price seems to come up just a little bit. So price per square foot, or just how much or how big a lot you get for the money, doesn't seem to equate a lot of times with some of the other places on the south side of Indianapolis, where it can be just a little bit more affordable. Bargersville tends to get pumped up a little bit. So just by looking at this place, just like this right behind me, a little rough, definitely a little rough, and not exactly something that you would think, oh, this is one of the more expensive places to live. I wouldn't say it's one of the more expensive places to live overall in the Indy metro, but if you get generally to the west and south of Indianapolis, this tiny town can definitely get up there. But your money will buy you typically something in a phenomenal area You're close to everything that you're going to need. You're very close to Franklin, Indiana, which has just about everything you would need. You're of course close to Greenwood, which has even more than Franklin, and then you're very close to Indianapolis too, which has absolutely everything. So Bargersville could be an option for somebody that, look, I want to be on the south side, I want to be in a phenomenal school district, and I do want a little bit more space. Now, how many opportunities you'd have here, that's hard to say on a month-by-month basis or day-by-day basis even, just because it's not a very big place again, only 10,000 people or so. But it's on your radar, keep it there, and if you were to think, I'm gonna come and visit it a little bit and explore, and you come straight here, it's not gonna be wildly impressive as far as a downtown area, and you have to give it more of an opportunity than just here. You have to get out actually even further to the north of here where Center Grove High School actually is, and from here between where I'm standing and Center Grove High School, tons of nice neighborhoods and nice properties. I mean, they are all over the place. Bargersville is a really big surprise to a lot of people. The first time that I came through here years and years ago, I was pretty surprised. And it's just gotten really a little better as the years have gone by. So places like this, with Taxman being really close by, awesome. Barbecue place right up there, which is gotta walk away from because it's smelling so good. This is the stuff that helps to further that growth. But that school district, I'd say probably that main thing is the reason why people want to be here. So Bargersville, on your radar, definitely a place that I would keep in mind if you're really open to a lot of spots around Indianapolis. And if you're looking on the south side, definitely keep it open as an option. If you have questions about Bargersville or anything Indianapolis, then reach out any way that you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.